Let's make some noise. Come on.
Yes, indeed, Nick Foles. Thank you very much for that rousing introduction once again. I appreciate it. And welcome one and all back to another broadcast week of the Final Word here with MattyB on the it's a Rap Sports Network. I've been off the air so long I forgot the name of my own network. It's great to be back with you for another week. And it doesn't really ever get easy around here, does it, folks? Does it ever get easy? Does it ever get humdrum? Does it ever get routine? Just like tonight's title of the show, Philly, we got a problem. And we're going to have to discuss it because we got a problem with the baseball team that is no longer able to be like homered away. Okay, let's say that. The problem with this baseball team can no longer be homered away because there's some issues here. And these issues have festered, and these issues have reached a boiling point that kind of boiled over in Pittsburgh as the Phillies fell not once, not twice, but 3 times over the weekend to the mighty Pittsburgh Pirates. Where are the homers at now? Where's the you only play who you can play on the schedule people at right now, huh? Well, I want to hear the voices of reason from them about justifying how this baseball team, a World Series champion contender, just got swept out of Pittsburgh by the Pirates. Come on. Where are you? That's baseball type people at. I really, really want to hear from you tonight. So we're definitely going to continue, and it's going to be the main focus of the show, are your Phillies. We got our Day in Philadelphia Sports History, our of the Night segment, and, of course, our card review. All that greatness roll into one, hopefully, beneficial, productive hour. So, let's get it going, man. Let's get it going. Joe is up, man. How are you tonight? Hello, Barbara. How are you? Ricky is watching. It's good to see you all back again. I know it's been a minute since we've talked. I haven't been on the air since Thursday, man. Thursday. Took a hiatus. Turned it into the Pat Bernard Network over the weekend, man. Woohoo! All kidding aside, I want to thank the Gobbler for doing what he's got to do and busting his butt for me this weekend as everyone else decided to take off for various reasons, all justifiable reasons, of course. But I want to thank Pat for a yeoman's work that he did over the weekend. And but now we're back to normal because I'm back here with you. So we're gonna have some fun tonight. The homers were restless this morning. Yeah, I did see a little bit of that. I did not watch it all. I did not watch the whole show. I watched snippets of it. I kind of got in where I could. But yeah, we're gonna comment on that too. Ricky says, Are the phone lines open? They are. They will be. Absolutely. Matty, what's up? Ryan, how are you tonight? Do you need an account to come on live? No, I don't. You shouldn't. I don't know. I don't think you do. I'm going to drop it in here. It's going to take you to StreamYard once you hit the link. I don't think you need an account. I honestly don't know, but I don't think you do. But yes, the phone lines will be open. I will make them open here in a second. We got to get through some of the prelims, but then we're going to get it going. So I know some of you might want to chime in with your 2 cents. So I definitely will let you do that. Barbara says they think I'm your burner account. I've heard that, Barbara. I actually heard that a couple times. Didn't that buffoon from the Broken Bell Network think you were my burner account as well? Yeah. So good for you, Barbara. Keep up the fight. Never quit. Never let them get to you. StreamYard is free. Yeah, I don't think you need an account. I think you'll go right to it. We'll try it tonight, Ryan. See what happens. But yeah, Phillies three losers out of what is it? 1 out of their last 11. Let's look at this thing here. So currently on a 5-game losing streak. They've won 1 game out of their last 10. Wow. So on the old stat tracker or on the old scoreboard, or when you look at the standings and they say the last 10, Philly's got a 1-9 next to that. That's great. that's yeah. I mean, of course, that's baseball, right? That's baseball. But we're going to debunk all that tonight. So, God, I got a lot to talk about when it comes to the Phillies, man. And you know what? Here's the thing, though. And I thought about this today as I was getting ready to. I didn't watch the game per se. I watched the end of it. Again, I've been super busy, so it's hard for me to do that. But going into the game, obviously with Paul Skeens, the only jewel in the Pirate crown, going for the Phillies or going for the Pirates today, you would think that this was going to continue the problems of the Phillies offense. And it did, obviously, with only 1 run scored today. But as I was thinking about coming on this show, and I know a lot of you people would want me to get into one of my old-fashioned rants. And yes, I thought about doing that, and I might do it as the night wears on. But why should I? The more and more I thought about it, I thought, you know what? Why should I go into a rant? Why should this be any different than any other night? Because I've maintained that you could watch any Phillies game. Matter of fact, strike that. You couldn't watch any Phillies game. You don't have to watch a Phillies game. All you got to do is see a box score at the end. All you got to do is look at the box score at the end. And you can already tell what happened in this game. You can already use your mental Rolodex, knowing what you know about this baseball team over the past 3 seasons, and you can actually replay the game in your mind without even seeing it. All you have to do is see the box score, because it's the same friggin' story every day. Even when they're playing well, it's the same story every goddamn day. They get above average to decent and strong starting pitching, no offense, and their bullpen lets them down. It is their modus operandi. It is their MO. There's nothing different about what this team is not doing versus to what it is when they are winning, because they're winning the same way and they're losing the same way. They're winning when they actually were able to get into a different team's bullpen and they finally break through, but they're losing because they can't get to it's a sick cycle, man. And I maintain to the homers out there, and not just the homers, but to the irrational fans. You know what I'm talking about is true. You know the MO of this team. You don't have to watch the games anymore, folks. You really don't. All you got to do is look at the box score at the end, and you can replay the game in your head, because you know what's already going to happen. They're getting no hitting. They're getting above average to decent starting pitching, and then their bullpen lets them down. Where have we heard that before? It's been the same story since 2022. But yet I'm off the res because I'm not patient enough through an ebbs and flow of a 162 game baseball season, which, by the way, we have less than 100 games left. Today was game 65, for those of you keeping track at home, which I am. So by my calculations, there's only about 97 games left? Where is it going, man? 97 games left. So, we're going to it's going to get frustrating to talk tonight, but should it really get fun? Because are we going to break any new ground tonight, folks? Are we going to sit here and actually come to like a moment of like, oh my God, I didn't think of that? No, we're going to talk about the same thing over and over again, yet nothing changes. That's what's more frustrating about this team. Is I know the homers are saying it's baseball, it's ebbs and it's flowing. By the way, the Phillies are ebbing all over the place right now. I know the homers are saying that, and I know they believe that to a certain extent. But does Dave Dombrowski actually believe that this is a glitch in the matrix, that all of a sudden something's going to happen with this offense that hasn't happened in, I don't know, going on a calendar year? And if you want to go even further back, a couple seasons? I mean, does Dave Dombrowski think that? Now, we had some positive news over the weekend. Otto Kemp got the much-deserved call-up, which was fun to see. And, that could be maybe a harbinger of some things to come. But, I don't know. It's frustrating, man. It's frustrating to watch it. It's frustrating to talk about it because there's no new ground being broken. This team is stale, man. It's like somebody opened up the bag of Phillies and put them away and left the bag open. You know, when you get into that bag of Doritos, and it really sucks is when you only get like a handful out and you're like, you know what, I'm gonna put the bag away, and you don't close it. Now I'm a horrible bag closer. I just kind of roll it over and hope to God it doesn't pop open. I know some of the people out there use the fancy dancy little clips, but I don't do that. But it's like somebody opened up the bag of Phillies, stuck them in the cabinet, and the bag opened up, and they've gone stale. And when you go and try to grab another handful and you bite into it, it's what it is. And I that's what's the worst thing for me is it's no new ground. We're not going to recreate the wheel here tonight. We're just going to talk about the same thing over again with nothing changing. But we're going to do it and have fun with it. But let's get started because we do this thing in somewhat of an order. Your day in Philadelphia sports history. Oh, I'm sorry. Let's strap it in, strap it on, strap it up. Put your head, hands, feet inside the car at all times. And here we go for your day in Philadelphia sports history, June the 8th. It ain't over till it's over, baby. I had the baby, but it ain't over till it's over. Yogi Berra. It's a famous quote that he made years and years ago. And on this night back in 1989, I think it was Nooms brought this up, or one of you brought this up to me last week that we were coming up to this date, and we've hit it. But back in 1989, the Pittsburgh Pirates, that's somewhat coincidental, put 10 runs on the board in the first inning at the Vet, prompting the Pirates broadcaster, Jim Rooker, to proclaim, "If we lose this game, I will walk home." Then the Phillies immediately whittled away with 2 runs in the bottom of the first, and the comeback was on, trailing just 11-10 in the bottom of the 8th. The Phillies tacked on 5 more runs to take the lead, and eventually the game 15-11. Now, Jim Rooker, being a man of his word, did that. Later on in this, I think it was in the fall, he held a charity event where he walked from Philadelphia to Pittsburgh, raising a lot of money. How much did they raise? It's in here. Raising $100,000 in the process. So Jim Rooker making good on his claim that he'll walk home if the Pirates blow a 10-0 lead to the Phillies in the first inning. And on this day, it happened back in 89. And I remember that game. I remember it very well. It's a very famous game in Philadelphia Philly history, especially if you're growing up in that era. To see the Phillies, who were not good back in the 80s or late 80s, and for them to actually come back from a 10-0 deficit, regardless of what inning it was, first, second, third, ninth, whatever the case was, it was pretty damn special. And the way they chipped away at the Pirates throughout the game and then eventually took the game. So there you are. It ain't over till it's over. On this night back in 89, the Phillies coming back from a 10-0 deficit to beat the Pirates 15-11. And Pirates radio guy Jim Rooker proclaiming that if the Pirates lose the game, he'll walk home. But he made good on that back in the fall, raising $100,000 for charity. So here we go. Let's get into it now. Yeah, I guess we can do it here. I guess I got to get going here. Barbara says we knew that today would happen, but the other two. So the other two, right? The other 2 games of the series were somewhat of an enigma. What were they? 5-4 and 2-1. I mean, just Barbara, I'm going to push back. Yeah, I kind of thought they were going to happen too, Barbara. This team's not playing well. This team's not playing well offensively, and there's nothing being changed or done to change it. So I'm not surprised at all. I had a sneaky feeling, and you know what? I think I had the feeling in the back of my head that they could potentially lose 2 out of 3 or maybe even get swept. I think we were all counting today as a loss, right? And maybe some of us were counting Friday as a loss too because it was a bullpen game, but the pitching wasn't the problem. Pitching's never been the problem. But I had a feeling that they could have lost 2 out of 3 to this series. I don't know if I ever really seriously considered them losing all 3 games to the Pirates, but it's not that far from the realm of possibility based on how this team has been playing lately. So I agree. I think a lot of us thought and knew it was going to happen today, but the other 2 games, I personally, I'm not really surprised, honestly. Let's see now what we got here. The Middleton Grill is set and fire Robbie. Did he? I haven't heard that. But we're definitely going to get into Rob Thompson because I have an interesting theory about that. Skeens dominated the Phillies again, especially Schwarber. It's not even fair with Paul Skeens right now. It's not even fair. I mean, it's not necessarily the Phillies' issues with Paul Skeens. It's going to be everyone's issues with this guy for probably the next 10 years. Question really to me with Paul Skeens is how much longer does he play for the Pirates? And I know you got a guy that you can ride, but here's the thing. How long does Pittsburgh in terms of his serviceability time, his actual service time versus the time that he's going to be a dominant pitcher. How long does Pittsburgh, who's not been able to figure this thing out for 30 years, do they hold on to a Paul Skeens? In hopes that Pittsburgh will finally round into a team around him and they'll actually be something strong? Or do you, if you're the Pirates GM, are you scouring the trade boards? Are you creating these out of the world trade requests for teams, just kind of throwing them up on a board, not necessarily calling teams up and offering him, but are you trying to maybe work some of that stuff out to see timeline versus Paul Skeens' career, And I'd hate to see Paul Skeens' career get wasted in Pittsburgh. I really would. And if Pittsburgh can't figure it out, because the guy is just another planet right now, and I don't know how long you can count on that. So what do you do if you're the Pirates, man? Do you ride Skeens? Do you hold on to him, or do you be like, you know what? What do you got? What can you give me for Paul Skeens? It's a very interesting situation. I noticed Otto Kemp has decent. Otto Kemp. Okay, well, I guess Joe Hale brought it up. We'll get into it. Congratulations to Otto Kemp. Finally, after not just this season, but last season as well. And a lot of you, I don't mean a lot of you, but a lot of people out there are going to proclaim that they have any kind of idea that Otto Kemp, the resurgence of Otto Kemp or Otto Kemp out of nowhere. This season, he took it to a different level, but last season he was pretty good too. And I remember talking about him a lot on the down the farm. Every week, he seemed like he was popping up on the Player of the Week part of it, and beginning to take notice of him. It was good to see him get the recognition of a call up. Now, what he's going to do with that recognition and what he's going to do with that call up remains to be seen. What are the expectations of him up here? Remain to be seen. Was he 0 for 6 now, or 0 for 5 with a walk or something like that? That's a little. I'm not down on that. I'm not like, kick him out of here. I ain't gonna do that. But especially after he's on a baseball team that let Nick Castellanos bat sub 200 for almost 5 months. I'm not gonna get down on Otto Kemp because he can't seem to break through with his first MLB hit after 2 games. So I hope he makes the most of these 10 games, and at the very least, maybe showcases himself for a different team. But. It was great to see, and it would have been even better to see him get a hit or a homer or an RBI or something. But going to keep watching him. I don't know if the Phillies are a better team with Otto Kemp, and the Bryce Harper situation is another. That whole thing is kind of crazy. Is it the elbow? Is it the wrist? Is it the wrist or is it the elbow? Is the elbow good and the wrist is bad? How long's the wrist been bad? He said he played with wrist pain all throughout last season. What's going on there? Does it come in? Does it go? Has there been an X-ray, MRI, scan, something? I mean, what are they not telling us about Bryce Harper's injury situation? So yeah, I mean, it was great to see. I loved it. I loved it. Matt, are you posting? I'll get it going here in a second. Thompson said they swung the bats well. Yeah. No, I mean, Barbara, he's saying what he's got to say. It would be really interesting to see Rob Thompson just get up and go completely off character and say, yeah, we suck. We suck. I don't know what to do. I've run out of options. I don't know what to do. I can't manage this. I can't make this lineup work because it's not built right. Right. I got too many of the same player here, and I don't know how to space them out in the lineup. I'm sorry. I've tried for going on 3 years now to figure this damn thing out, and I can't. So either you send me new players or I'm out of here. John Tortorella did it. He did it in Toronto that night. Cost him his job, but I give John Tortorella a lot of credit for just saying, I can't do this anymore. I didn't sign up for this. But yeah, I don't know what I don't know what I want Rob Thompson to say. I mean, I don't know if Rob Thompson can say anything at this point to make anybody feel better, unless your name is Big Al, of course. Al will feel better, whatever. But I don't know what he can do. Honestly, I don't know what he can do. So the Showman Harper hasn't had a 100-plus RBI season since 2019. And since then, nothing higher than 87 RBIs, and the guy wants an extension. I don't know. Is he really still talking about that, Mike? I haven't heard him mention that. And I have not heard that as frontline news that Bryce Harper's still on about that stupid extension. And I've maintained this too. If it's possible, do you entertain getting off of Harper? I goddamn, I don't think you don't. I mean, if somebody came to me tomorrow and offered me a trade for Harper, I think I take it. Because I think the best days of Bryce Harper are behind him, and we're going to get stuck with this Bryce Harper. And I don't know if this obviously is not $330 million worth it, you know. And Bryce Harper, for the most part, has not lived up to the expectations that we had for him here. His best days apparently were in Washington, playing for the Nationals. Besides the 2022 season, what else really has he done? I mean, I'm trying to find out. I'm trying to think about what he's done. And he hasn't brought in a World Series here. Didn't he promise that? Wasn't that part of his package, a World Series? Where's that at? That's not coming. He comes and goes throughout the regular season, more going than coming these days. His postseason was maybe one of the things that you could kind of hang your hat on, but last postseason he kind of disappeared, and I don't know what to do anymore, man. What do we do? We're stuck with this. It feels like 2012, man. Feels like the beginning of the end of this whole thing, and we're going to be stuck with a bunch of bloated contracts. Players who can't do what they could do 5 years ago. We never got that out of them. It just seems like this thing is about to blow up completely in the Phillies' face, and more importantly, blow up in ours. I'm having a hard time. They're 10 games over 500. It's not over. But I'm going to ask this question to everybody. Is it over? I mean, the expectation's a World Series. The expectation is not to win 95 games or 92 games or 87 games. No, the expectation was to win a World Series. That lone expectation, is that achievable at this point in 2025? Based on not the 65 games of this season, but what we've seen from this team since like London of last year, or you could even go back a little further since the end of the NLCS in 23, but let's use London of last year. Is this team going to live up to the expectations of winning a World Series right now? I don't know how you can say that they can. I really don't. Star says the Phillies suck. Yeah. Apparently the reason why Crawford got pulled from the game Thursday injuries. Yeah, I know. I saw that. Hey, a brother can wish, right? I could wish that it was something different. But yeah, I saw that, Joe. Let me see. Let me get this going here. All right. So, you know what? I don't know if that's the right one. So what I'm going to do now is we are going to drop the link in. We're going to open up the phone lines. If you guys want to get involved, come on in. Let's have some fun. All conversations are on the table, not just the Phillies. If you want to talk Eagles, Flyers, Sixers, or whatever, just come on in. So there it is. So I dropped it up. Just chime in. I'll put you backstage, and we'll do what we got to do. The Steve Jeltz game. Yeah, Steve Jeltz' best game ever as a Philly was that Pirates game. Time for the comfortable on this team to make me feel uncomfortable. Steve, how do you do that, man? How do you take a payroll that's like second, third highest in Major League Baseball and make them feel uncomfortable? I mean, how do you do that without severely, not throwing in the towel, but severely kind of changing course on the season? You know, they are still good enough to get to the playoffs, especially in 2025. They're a playoff team. I don't think that to me hasn't changed. They're not going to fall. This thing is not going to go completely off the wheels or off the rails. It's not, because the schedules are going to balance out. They're going to play some bad teams. Well, I mean, sound kind of foolish by saying that, but it will regulate, and they will find a way. I still maintain they're going to get to the playoffs, but the question's never about the playoffs to me. It's about World Series and a World Series championship, and I don't see that. I don't feel that. And if you start to make the uncomfortable or the comfortable feel uncomfortable, What is that going to do? I don't know how you can do that. Well, you start sitting people, you start sitting millions of dollars on your bench. I mean, that tells baseball and everybody else out there that we've screwed up. Now, I'm not saying we don't advocate for change, and we got to get some change. There are some good players on this team that maybe if a different direction, different voice, different players around them could be better. But I don't think you can make those wholesale changes in season either. I think you have to wait to the offseason. And let's talk about the offseason. Dave Dombrowski did squat in the offseason last year. He did not address the offense, not one bit. And that was a focal point of every single exit conference or exit interview from the Phillies starting in 2022 about not addressing the offense. And how much more are we going to, where's the accountability to that? I don't know, man. Running it back doesn't work. And you can say, ask the Eagles that question. Ellis, how you been? I haven't talked to you in a while. Did you know Ben Davis is a baseball? I did not know Ben Davis is a baseball card collector. Maybe I'll hit him up. That's right. You met him, right? Garrett Cole was on the Pirates too. He was. It's a good point. Garrett Cole was on the Pirates. So did they go the Garrett Cole route too? I have that card actually. Garrett Cole's card while he was on the Pirates. Don't feel bad for Paul Skeens. Garrett Cole found his ring. Yeah, that's true. And I'm not saying I feel bad for Skeens, but I feel bad for the Pirate faithful. I mean, that's a beautiful park out there, PNC Park. And the Pirates have a rich history of some decent baseball. But they just can't seem to get the thing together. And if you I mean, it's not like Paul Skeens is a center fielder. I mean, pitchers have shelf lives, and you're going to waste all his dominant time trying to build the team around him. Would you be better off trading him? And maybe, I don't know, to kind of facilitate more players here? I don't know. I would call, but I'm clocking my pool. What the hell does that mean? Clocking my pool? The Phillies are so bad that I'm itching to watch the Sixers. Wow, that's really bad, Michael. Moving or sitting Marshall Rojas won't do anything. It has to be a bigger player. And I brought this up. I typed into the final not last night, night before. Was it yesterday? Day before that? I don't know. I don't know anymore. But I said, what would be the bigger needle mover? And what do you think out there is the biggest thing they need to do? Is it a trade? I don't mean, DFA and Marsh or sending Rojas to the minors. I'm not saying that, but I'm talking like a major, like Nick Castellanos, JT Realmuto for X, Y, and Z. That kind of trade. That like, whoa, they did it. Type trade. Or would it be firing Rob Thompson or both? I mean, is this team requiring both of those types of things? I maintain that the easiest thing to do in season is to fire the manager. That's the easiest way to send a message in season, is to fire a manager. Puts the rest of the players on notice that no one's job, that you just cost this guy his job. Yeah, I mean, bottom line, you cost him his job. So I don't know. And are we there? Are we at that point now? Does something have to be done? Right? Does something have to be done at this point? Or can we continue on the way it is? Because apparently we've been doing that since London of last year, and for the most part since 2023. So is Dave Dombrowski at that point? Is Rob Thompson at that point? We got a day off Thursday. Is this the last series of the Phillies as we know them in 2025? Does Rob Thompson have to play this series against the Cubs like his job is in jeopardy? Because they have a day off Thursday. Now, the last time that things were kind of teetering in 2023 or two, it was in between a day off and the start of the Angels series that they canned Joe Girardi in June. Are we at that point now? And is this Cubs series a must win for Rob Thompson to keep his job? So I see I got one. Let's bring him on there. Ricky, what's going on, man? How are you tonight?
I am good.
Good to hear, Ricky. What you want to talk about, man?
Let's go filming.
Oh, Ricky is a forever optimist, man. So you don't have nothing critical to say about the Phillies. Are you happy with the way they've been playing lately? What has to change, Ricky, in your mind to get them back on track?
Gotta play better.
Yeah, but Ricky, my question
Gotta
is,
play better.
I agree. They got to play better, but are they capable of playing better? Have we reached the end of the line with these players? Or so you think that they're capable of playing better? That you think they're in some sort of like team wide slump?
Mm-hmm.
You do. Okay. Well, Ricky, listen, man. Everyone's entitled to their opinion. I will give you that. I think it's deeper. I think it's worse than that. I think that there's forces at play here that need to be adjusted. And I'm not saying that Nick Castellanos, Alec Bohm, Kyle Schwarber, Bryce Harper, Bryce. I'm not saying that they're bad players, but maybe they're just not working. Maybe they don't work together. I maintain also that I've said this before. The lineup I don't think is built right. I think there's too many of the same type of player here, and that there's not enough like variety to that lineup. So, would you be in favor of moving anybody in order to kind of, I don't know, wake up the bats, so to speak? Would you be in favor of a Bryson Stott trade or a Castellanos trade or a JT trade to sort of kind of bring a little bit more variety in?
Mm-hmm.
You would be. Okay, Ricky, so would I. Listen, Ricky, man, always a pleasure, brother. Don't stop calling in, Ricky, please. All right. You have yourself a good night, okay?
Mm-hmm.
All right. There's Ricky, man. Ricky's the only one who constantly calls in. Let's go, people. Sit up here messing around. Ricky doesn't think there's a problem. Oh, he does. Ricky thinks that there's they're in a team-wide slump. I disagree. I think that there's more things happening than we want to admit. So, why do you have more confidence in running a team, Maury, Nurse, or Dombrowski and Robbie? Good God, man. Well, I mean, what? Wow, Jesus Christ, Michael. I don't know, man. You're asking me if these are the guys I gotta run it. I gotta put in charge of a team. I gotta put one of these combos in. Can I mix and match? Can I put like Nick Nurse and Dombrowski together? I mean, I think Nick Nurse is a good coach. I really do. I mean, he won a championship, so Doc Rivers won one too. But I like Nick Nurse as coach. Dombrowski obviously is or not Dombrowski, but Daryl Morey is a fraud. So I'm not going to say. I guess Dombrowski and Nurse. There you go. I'm gonna go a third option. Dombrowski and Nurse. If I got to choose one. Stadium looked half empty today. They don't care about Skeens. Listen, Barbara. I don't know if you heard this, but if you go with the PNC Park, you know that baseball card that Paul Skeens card that we were talking about, the 1/1 Topps updated Chrome, the relic auto card of Paul Skeens, and the Pirates offered his bounty of like 30-year season tickets, all this kind of swag, in order to get the card back. And a kid opened it up for Christmas and from California. He ended up auctioning it off and sold it for $1.11 million, right? Well, that card ended up in Pittsburgh. The Pirates have that card now, and it's got its own little shrine in PNC Park. They built this whole like monument to it inside the stadium. So I think the Pirates organization cares extremely deeply about Paul Skeens, and I'm sure that they would love to build their team around him. But that's another point, though. The stadium's half empty, so the fan base doesn't seem to care. So they're not buying the tickets. They're not giving money to the team. Would the team be better off trying to win faster, or building around Paul Skeens? It's a question that I know a lot of teams wish, or a problem that a lot of teams wish they had. God knows I know the Phillies. Man, can you imagine Paul Skeens in this rotation? Good God, that would be pretty dastardly. But it's a great question, and I don't think it's as cut and dry as that. So, Joe Hale's joining us. Joe, what's going on, man?
It is Paul's on my end.
What's that?
Never mind. So, the Phillies need a lot of help. I was talking to Ben Davis, picking his brain about the Phillies. He thinks Stott needs to go and Harper needs to go.
So he thinks Harper and who needs to go?
Stop.
So Ben Davis, the man who works for the Phillies, does their color, said that he thinks Stott and Harper need to be traded.
Yeah.
Well, Joe Hale breaking some news here. All right, wow.
They want to get younger, and they don't want to they want to rebuild, but not. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they want to rebuild, but they don't want to. They don't want to have to be terrible to do it, right?
Either.
They want to retool. Let's call it retooling, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Listen, and we talked about this on the show the other night. Would Phillies fans even conceive of trying to move off of Harper if you could? And he's not in the lineup right now. And when he's been in the lineup, he hasn't been the same. So 2022 he wins the NLCS MVP, right? Yeah. Did he win the NL MVP in 22 as well? Was that in 23? When did he win 22? So that was really it, honestly. I'll peak Bryce Harper, right? Then you got the Tommy John surgery and all that, and maybe the Tommy John is something different. Maybe he's lost something from that. I don't know, but he just hasn't been the same since 2022. And we have 6 years left of that contract. Joe, I agree, man. Every year that passes, it's getting more and more. It's turning out to be more and more of a bad contract.
So, from what Ben Davis is saying, he's been talking to Phillies. It's his right shoulder that where he got hit it's swelling up again.
So it's not the wrist.
No, it's his shoulder.
Okay, so it's the right shoulder from where he got hit by Spencer Strider like a couple weeks ago, right?
Yes, they're saying shoulder tendonitis right now.
Is it that? Well, is it the Tommy John arm? Is that the arm that's the right one? Is that the?
That's where he wears the sleeve. Yeah.
All right. Well, there you go. Joe Hale reporting that Ben Davis believes that Bryson Stott and Bryce Harper. Wow, get rid of the Vegas boys, huh? Is it the Vegas thing there, Joe? He doesn't want that kind of stigma there on the team.
And he doesn't like Marsh. He doesn't like Kelly Hustles.
You can see the line forms behind me about the Brandon Marsh thing. Brandon Marsh, Mike, I did the top 10 trade thing, and I think I listed the Logan O'Hoppe trade as the number 3 worst trade in Phillies history as per me. I think that's just every day passes. That's a terrible trade.
That was a stupid Dombrowski trade.
Yeah.
He needs to go. So does Sam Fold.
Yeah. Well,
what about Mattingly? Like, can we trust Mattingly? From anybody?
Yeah, I mean, is he like just kind of holding the seat down because Sam Fold's in school? I mean, or is Preston Mattingly going to be the new permanent? I think he's just kind of holding down the seat. And really, what kind of power does he have? It's almost like Daryl Morey, Elton Brand situation, right? Elton Brand, the GM, he's gotten absolutely no power. He doesn't make any decisions. It's all about, it's all Morey making decisions. So I'm thinking that's the same thing with Dombrowski. I don't think Sam Feud, whatever his name is, Eva or Preston Mattingly have much to say about anything when it comes to personnel movements. They may have a lot to say about the minor leagues, but I don't think they have much to say about at all about personnel movements.
Get Dombrowski out, I think the future fighter without Dombrowski.
And the last question I got for you, Joe, and I'm gonna let you go. The Heat, obviously, we're feeling the heat. I think most Phillies fans are feeling the heat right now. And Dombrowski spent last week traveling with the Lehigh Valley Iron Pigs down to Charlotte with them. I think we talked about maybe what was the purpose of that trip. Was it to evaluate some players for potential trades, potential call-ups, whatever? Do you think Dave Dombrowski is concocting or will execute at some point this season a major trade? Nothing, not thinking Duncan like some prospects for a expiring contract. I mean a major trade that's going to alter the construction of this team.
He has to. But who you go get? Who you give up? I don't want to give up an auto template. Aiden Miller, a Painter, a Peel.
Yeah.
They're untouchables. A Raccoons maybe you can throw out in a trade.
Yeah, and I don't know out there as far as who you're going to be able to acquire. I mean, you need to rebuild this. You need 2 arms in the bullpen, and you probably need 3 bats in the starting lineup. And I don't know if you can do that all through a midseason trade deadline. I just don't think you can. And Dombrowski, he's failed in the offseason the last couple of years. This past offseason, Everybody gave him a pass, but they're running it back again. I wasn't for it. I don't know how many Phillies fans were for it after losing to the Mets, but he ran it back and made absolutely no changes to the offense. And now this is what it's all about right now.
I would love the Pirates center fielder, if anything.
Okay.
He's fast, he's young.
Yeah, but we got a fast young center fielder. He plays in AAA right now.
He's hurt. He's injured.
He's got a hamstring problem. That'll be done in 2 weeks. He'll be back.
Okay, then you see Russell Wilson. So.
Yeah. All right, Joe. Listen, man. Thank you for calling in, and please, call back tomorrow and every night after that, man. I appreciate it. All right.
Yep.
All right, Joe Hale. So I'm talking about. That's it. So Joe Hale believes a major trade is incoming. I believe as well. Maury is a fool. He is. Yeah, that was an impossible friggin' thing for me to decide. It was, I believe more in Mike Pops than Rex Ryan. Joe Colin. He did, Ricky. He did. Bryce and Bryce's son. Yeah, it's pretty weird that Ben Davis doesn't want neither Vegas boy. Isn't Ben Davis from Vegas or from that area or somewhere out there? Well, that's good candid stuff there. Joe Hale reports that Ben Davis had said that he wants Bryce Harper and Bryson Stott traded. Wow, you heard it here first. What we all should be worried about is the Dodgers or Braves with all the talent in the minors going after Skeen. Now that's a very interesting point because there's the problem with having a depleted minor league system, right, Michael Papernick? Because I don't think we have the assets the Pirates would want, right? We just don't have them. We're a young farm system that's just now starting to get our act together. It's a good point. There's other more developed farm systems out there, i.e. the Dodgers and the Braves, that consistently plug and play throughout the season when players go down. They may have the capital inside those systems to go after a Paul Skeens, because it's going to take what? I would want about 6 top-tier prospects and maybe a couple draft picks if I was the Pirates. And I don't mean like, Joe Blow in the rookie leagues. No, man, I want AA and higher. I want kids that are going to be in the major leagues within a year or two. So I'm going to go for about 6 of them and about 2 first-round picks over the next 2 years. I'm going to make it painful. And do the Phillies have that? Do the Phillies have that sort of capital? And do they have that kind of capital that would be attractive to the Pirates for a Paul Skeens? Because say goodbye to Painter, say goodbye to Crawford, say goodbye to Aiden Miller, say goodbye to Otto Kemp, say goodbye to Gabriel Cones Jr., say goodbye to all them guys, probably Eduardo Tait. They'd all go, and we'd be back to square one with the terrible farm system, but Paul Skeens under team control for the next 5 years. Yeah, I don't know. But that's a good point that Michael Papernick brings up. Very good point. Why wasn't Harper wearing a guard then? He was wearing a compression sleeve. I don't know, man, Barbara. Listen, I know what Ben Davis said through Joe Hale, but they're also saying something about his wrist. But, there's something. And the fact that there's all this mystery around it is concerning, too. What's really going on, man? I heard something about draining he had to get his elbow drained at one point, or stuff was coming out of it or something. What is going on? Yes, Ricky, you can call in once a show, once a day, right? So tomorrow's show, you can call in. Next night's show, you can call in, just like they do on WIP. I can't take multiple callers through multiple shows, but I can take callers every day on different shows. I would package Painter, 20 years old, and other pieces for Skeens, 23 years old. It's going to take a lot, Mike. A lot. I'm telling you, say goodbye to all the top tier ones. So Crawford has a quad and a personal issue. Is that what you're saying? I thought it was a hammy. Yes, you can call in. Maybe Ben Davis is smarter than I thought he was. And that was probably the biggest thing I took out of as well, Barbara, was, Ben Davis comes off as like if you think Big Al is the Homer Grand Poobah, Ben Davis is like the Homer God. You know, and to hear that candidness, that's somewhat revealing. Dodgers have a meat market in the minors, great talent, but just an awful guiding principle when it comes to arm preservation. Yeah, but they got the abilities to move players, man. And that's what scares me. And then, you know, they brought up, that's a good point. I think Skeens goes out to the American League. I don't know, man. I mean, the Pirates might be better off trading him to the American League because they don't have to see him that quite often. But man, you know, we're just kind of floating this Paul Skeens thing up because it would take a king's ransom to get him out of Pittsburgh right now. But if you're the Pirates and you have no prospects, and when I mean that, I mean both figuratively and literally, no prospects of winning. Do you try to move Skeens for, like, you know, what is it, addition by subtraction? Do you try to do that? All very valid points. Okay, Ricky, I will accept your friend request. All right, so before we pivot off the Phillies, because we've been kind of talking, I do want to bring up some things. Top of the show, I basically mentioned you don't even have to watch the team anymore. And I know that's the prospect that everybody's 100% on board with, right? Not watching them. You don't even have to watch them because you can tell game by game, night by night, what the actual what happened in a game without even watching. That's how predictable the Phillies have got, that you don't even have to watch. Like, I did not watch. I tuned in around the 8th inning, I guess it was 7th inning, maybe 6th, and I saw the score first. Right, I saw the score and I was like, Paul Skeens, no offense, Chris Sanchez pitching his ass off, but now we're going to end up getting into our bullpen, and and guess what happened? Boom, 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 boom. So it's become so predictable. And I know baseball is a routine, 162 games and ebb and flow, and that's baseball and all that. And I know there is some predictability a lot of predictability about baseball, but I can never remember in recent memory, even back during the last great era of Phillies baseball, 08 to 12 or 11, that team wasn't predictable. They found different ways to win almost every single different night. They found contributions from all over the diamond. They were able to be creative when they had to be. Not every night, of course. But with this team, winning and losing has become the same thing in terms of how they get there. And and that to me scares me the most about the prospect of the rest of this season. Again, I highly doubt they're not going to make the playoffs. I know they are. But that's not good enough, and it never has been. But the predictability of this team, to say that, okay, I can guess with a 97.8% grade of efficiency that the offense will struggle tonight. They're going to get decent to above average starting pitching, and their bullpen is going to let them down at some point. To be accurate almost at 100% that you're going to pick that right night after night after night tells a bigger story. It tells a bigger story about why this team will not succeed in 2025 for its ultimate goal of winning a World Series. The predictability of this team tells you why they will not win. And that's not going to change unless the players or the manager change, figuratively or literally. But the question is, you squander the offseason when you typically do these changes. It's in the offseason, so you can incorporate all those changes and develop the continuity with the rest of the team in the spring, and then come out and do your thing during the regular season. We didn't do that in 2025. We ran it back to disastrous results. And the part of the P&M and the AM program I did watch was Mike Lauro jumping on what most homers do anyway. When you want to talk about the struggles of the Phillies, he wants to talk to you about the struggles of the Yankees or the Mets or the Dodgers. Who cares about any of that? Right? Who cares about it? The Dodgers won the World Series last year. They've won 2 World Series in the last 5 years. The Phillies have won 2 World Series in the last 142 years. I don't care. The Dodgers struggles are not real to me. The Mets struggles are not real to me because they're not my team. It's the Phillies struggles that are real to me. But every homer they gravitate towards that to try to take the heat off the Phillies. And they want to talk smack about how other teams are. Who cares, man? Who cares that they're struggling? I care about what the Phillies are doing or not doing. So I did catch that part, right? The Phillies are not a World Series contending team. Notice I said not a World Series contending team. I didn't say they're a bad team. I didn't say they stink. They're a good team. They're an above 500 team that will make the playoffs. That's a perennial playoff team. But they will not win the World Series unless they change something. And does it have to be drastic? Maybe. But can it be drastic in season? I don't think it can. I don't think it can, man. Oh, man. The Mets getting Paul Skeens would be the worst. Yep. And Cohen would do it, too. He wouldn't care. There's a sack in the elbow that fills with fluid and can be a problem. I had my radial collateral ligament reattached, which is the opposite side of the thumb. Jesus Christ, man. Oof. There's a sack in your elbow that fills with liquid? Yeah. Ew. Amaro was praising Stott for a great tag at the same time McCarthy was telling him that the runner was safe. Oh, I did catch that part. I did catch that. Yes, I did. I did catch that. Oh, Ruben, man. I got a signed card from him. I'll show it to you. I don't know. Did we ever do that? I'll get the card. We'll run that card one night. I will take a look at it there, Ricky. I believe in Crawford, DeMartini, Taiit, and maybe Keaton Anthony. I just hope I won't be watching Miguel Franco says this camera Renee Thier and Nick Dopes. Oh man. I think Crawford's the real deal. Carson DeMartini is playing really well. He's rocketing up the system. You know, he was drafted last year for God's sakes, and he's already in where's he in? Clearwater? Probably going to be going to it's Jersey Shore, right? I know, I think it's Jersey Shore. I think Eduardo Taiit is going to be the catcher of the future, but the problem is it's going to be the future. And Keaton Anthony is probably the fastest riser right now in the system. You're right. I don't know how to respond to this because you don't know. You don't know. And out of that list of players, how many players actually survived the purge of David Dombrowski? And that's going to be the biggest thing because Keaton Anthony's got trade written all over him. DeMartini's got trade written all over him. Taiit and Crawford probably would take a act of God to get him out of here, but yeah, there's always a danger there, right? Right, Steve? There's always a danger. I'm tired. Oh my God, Matty! How many times did Mike say he hated the Mets? While I was tracking up. Yeah, again, listen, you got to get your bed. You got to get to bed somehow at night, and I'm not going to put that against them, but. Who gives a rat's ass less what the Mets are doing? I could care less, unless they're playing the Phillies. I don't care if the A's beat them 18-4 or whatever. Whoever beat the A's or the A's beat, I don't care about any of that. I care about the Phillies. I care about the Phillies and their problems. We have 0 bullpen arm candidates in the minors, and that's an immense issue right now, a huge one. Well, Seth Johnson obviously was probably the biggest one we had, and now he's up. Michael Mercado might be an option coming out of the pen. And so was what's his face that got sent up. What's his name? Not the Goss, but the kid that came up before Seth Johnson. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. He pitched the other day. Why can't I remember his name? But Seth Johnson, I think he's one. And Mercado, I think Mercado is a bullpen, a long guy right now. The bullpen, he's nothing back end, and that is a problem, right? Because Orion Kirkering, by the way, a little PSA here about Orion Kirkering. I was probably one of the biggest Orion Kirkering fans. I kept holding out for that guy to be a closer. Man, oh man. How much longer we got to endure Orion Kirkering? That's getting unwatchable right now. That kid looks completely out of his league. He looks completely lost, scared, all the above. And it's a shame because I really thought at one point he had electric stuff. His stuff's not electric anymore. His stuff's flat. It's up. It's not electric. It wasn't like it was when he came up a couple years ago. So there is concern about the bullpen. And I'll ask this question. I've always maintained that the offense is the biggest problem, and I still believe that. But How much is the bullpen a problem? Because today they failed again. The other night they failed. Romano's up and down. You know, you lose Jose Alvarado for the year. Listen, it's not looking good, man. It ain't looking good. And yes, it's only June. Take that in many different ways. Thoughts on the Flower coaching hires? I don't have any at this particular moment in time, Joe. I know they've made some moves. I got to sit down and I do got to plug back in my hockey brain because we're getting ready for the draft and we're going to be doing that. And we got to do our end of season Flyer review show. So that's coming up, but I have not really sat down and looked at these hires. I know one was a former assistant with him in Vancouver. So I have not really plugged in yet, but I promise I will get into that this week. I promise. Painter, Racones, Chase, Dante Nore. I wouldn't take that. I wouldn't take that trade. No, I want more. More. They're not going to take Chase. Painter, Racones, they'll take. The rest of these guys are not going to take. They're not going to take. They don't want to. Jesus Lazaro doesn't fit their timeline, and that's a big contract. They don't want a big contract. I still don't trust Orion in a big situation. Yeah, I think he's done. The Chase injury really hurt. Oh, he got hurt. Moises Chase is hurt. Good God, you tune out for one weekend, and you miss all kinds of great stuff. I have not seen that. I'll take a look at that tonight. Kirk doesn't have the head for high leverage. He needs to reevaluate that slider. Yeah, it's been somewhat a disaster to watch over the past season, right? Oh, actually, what? Past season and a half. I mean, kind of started going down last year. Man, I really thought he had closer written all over him. I really do. And maybe he does and has to do it somewhere else. But and I also maintain that the bullpen by committee has hurt some of these pitchers. And Kirkering might be one of those that it hurt because he never could get comfortable in a role. So henceforth, pitchers are creatures of habit. He never got comfortable, and there you go. So how much did we mess up Orion Kirkering? Phillies prospects ranking 1-5 choice. Moises Chase 10, Racone Jr. 6, Dante Nore. Dante Nore is our first round draft pick in 2024, so he is not coming anywhere near the major leagues for at least the next 3 years, right? Moises Chase is the pitcher we got from Baltimore last year, I believe, in the Sir Anthony trade. I know we got Seth Johnson, Chase, and Austin Hayes for both Sir Anthony and Soto. I just don't know who got for who, but came over from Baltimore. Gabriel Racones I would like to believe is Nick Castellanos' replacement. I would like to believe that. And again, as I said, Dante Nore is maybe about 3 years away from majors. Painter is Painter, and so I just don't think that's enough. If I'm the Pirates, I got one player on that list that I can count on being in the major leagues next season or this season, right? I got one, two maybe that I can count on next year. And then after that, 3 years from now, I maybe have an opportunity for more of those guys. I understand, the capita and all that. I get it, but I want guys that are like 2 years away. Because don't forget, if the Pirates trade Skeens, if they actually have the balls to do it, there's going to be so much backlash from their fan base that they're going to have to get a winning product on that field as soon as possible, and they're going to have to turn that over fast. It ain't going to happen overnight. It ain't going to happen probably in a season, but it's got to happen quick, or they're going to burn PNC Park to the ground. So I need more. I need more MLB ready talent. I need more of it. I need talent that's about a year, 2 years the most away. They can have Dante Nore, man. I don't like him. He's actually playing very well. All right, so real quick, and we're going to move off the Phillies because I'm going to wrap some things up here tonight. We get to the card segment of the night. Phillies have now lost 5 in a row, right? 5 in a row. And I think it's a good time to check in on the old MattyB Titans Final Stat Pack because we haven't done that in a while. I haven't had the Titans Final in a while. But let's talk some numbers here. Let's talk some numbers, not from the weekend, but from the season. 65 games in, 37-28. Now they are 9 games above 500. 1-6 now for the month of June. 1-6. They were 19-9 in May, but they are not playing that way in June. They're 1-6. So far, a couple of numbers that have kind of begun to creep up. The Phillies have allowed 50 stolen bases in 2025. In the first half of 2024, they allowed 58 bases. So, we got a little less than 20 games remaining until we get to the halfway point, and they're probably going to maybe be around that 58 plateau. That's not too good for the BCIB, if you ask me. Home runs, Phillies have hit 68 home runs so far this season. They've given up 66. So the pitching staff has surrendered 66 home runs in one half, and not even one half. That's been a terrible number all season long. Their strikeouts as a rotation is off the chain. So Phillies pitchers are averaging 9.4 strikeouts a game. That's pretty damn good, man. That's what's keeping them in these losses. It's been the pitching. And their strikeouts are actually under 8 a game. They're only striking out 7.9 times a game. The Phillies are, which I'll take, man, because I'm writing a 7 down to 7.8. Walks, Phillies pitchers have surrendered 199 walks through the season. That's 3 a game. And the Phillies hitters, very disciplined, have worked 231 walks, 3.5 a game. I'll take that, man. I like that. The Phillies are being out-hit currently by their opponents, 558 to 550. Phillies are averaging 8.4 hits a game, and they're surrendering 8.5 hits a game. And, of course, and then we get into the juicy ones. Runners in scoring position, batting average for the Phillies so far this year, 142 for 561 for a 253 batting average through 65 games. And, you can hang your hat on the old Big Al Homer Express and say that it doesn't matter, because I think when he did the final was 2 weeks ago that they were 7th or 5th, something like that, with the highest team batting average with RISP. And I maintain that the teams that were above the Phillies are going to get better with runners in scoring position, and the Phillies were not, because they never do. Phillies don't get better with runners in scoring hitting with runners in scoring position. That's just something they don't do. And if you're not batting 270 or higher with runners in scoring position, you're just not a major league contender in MLB. I'm sorry. History has shown us that. And 253 is not going to cut it. And there's no expectations that it's going to change, because this is what it is. This is not a blip either. This is not a glitch in the matrix either. This is what the Phillies are, man. They are terrible with driving runners home in scoring position. And that's been over the past 3 or 4 or 5 seasons. But yet it's going to change, because why? Why is it going to change? It's the same players. Why is that number going? It's not. The Phillies have left 471 runners on base. That's about 7.2 a game, and they have stranded 466 of their opposition's runners on base for about 7.1. And through 65 games, the Phillies have scored a putrid 291 runs for 4.4 runs a game. They've given up 278 runs for 4.2 runs a game. That's way too close. It's less than it's a little bit over a 1/10 of a run in the run differential category. That is terrible. Terrible. That you're so close with that. You're not going to win a World Series doing that either. And you certainly aren't going to win a World Series averaging 4.4 runs a game. You got to be up above 5 or better. And again, I think the Homer Express stopped on this one too and said, they're the 7th best runs per game, whatever it was. Again, those teams in front of the Phillies will get better. The Phillies will not. So they got to get that up to 5 or better. And I don't know if it's going to happen. So a little Philly stat pat check here on your Sunday night. Get you feeling really good about yourselves. Oh, man. Oh, man. He wasn't bad against the D-backs. Didn't he do okay? I don't know. What? Like, he went bad? Yeah, I think he went bad against. Yeah, because that's when they got to him. That's when they got to him, man. And it hasn't been right since. Kirk's really done good homework on his fastball. He has come at a price. Hopefully, he eventually puts it all together. But right now, the Emporium is doing $1 million. Yeah, it is. Ryan Kirkering needs to go down to the minors. He does. But again, there's nothing to replace him with. Does Ryan Kerkering last in any other Major League Baseball bullpen other than the Phillies and, say, the Chicago White Sox? Or is he in the minor leagues on any other team? And it could be said you could probably say that about a few other players the Phillies have. Jesus Luzardo signed a 1-year contract for a little over $6 million this season to be a free agent in 26. So they're not going to take that. They're not going to take that deal, man. Michael, they need capital, man. They need capital. They need assets. Cubs have been slumping since they had that hot streak. The Pirates. Oh, let's go back to that. The Cubs are slumping. So Barbara mentions it. Let's bring it up. I'm going to do a little promotion here. The Titans finals back tomorrow, and the Chicago Cubs are coming to town. Pat Bernard will finish up his. How many times has he been on that freaking show over the last week? 7. Finishes up his Titans final duties tomorrow night. He'll be back, of course, later on. But on Monday is Pat, and then Tuesday is Steve Fuentes, and Wednesday is Mike. That's your Titans final lineup for this week against the Chicago Cubs. And you notice yours truly is still not on the damn lineup, man. Taking a break and wait. I keep waiting for them all to catch me, but no one's catching me. I'm sitting up there, not working games. I haven't done a Titans final. God, was it last week? What the hell was it? Was it during the Brewers series? I don't even remember. I don't even remember the last Titans final I did. But no one's catching me. The Pirates are looking to trade Brian Reynolds, who had 6 years and like $70 million left in his contract. Yeah. Tomorrow, can you do more of the list of the great? I can. Yeah, we'll get back to that. I did the one. What was my 10 greatest? My 10th greatest trade was the JT trade. That was my number 1. No, my number 10. That was my 10. So yeah, we'll get back to that. So I just did the 1. I just did the number 10. Good show. Good night. You too, Michael Papernick. Always a pleasure. He's always trying to hammer home his points, man. I like that. He needs to call in. By the way, one more time, I'll put it up there. If you haven't called in and you want to call in, you're running out of time because I'm about to wrap the show up. But here it is one more time. Here's our show link if you want to jump on. But if you don't want to jump on tonight, don't fear not. It'll be back tomorrow. So let's now head into our of the night segment and let's continue this thing on. Yes, our of the night segment last week. I noticed that there was a time where I was really hammering through the MLB draft and the NHL draft really fast, and I actually slowed down purposely. Well, now I'm behind because we're coming up on both drafts. NHL drafts at the end of the month, and the MLB drafts in about 6 weeks. And I still got a lot of players to get through on those drafts, so I'm going to hit those things heavy this week. We're going to hit the NHL draft and the MLB draft prospects heavy, as I got to finish up that list. So let's get into the MLB draft. And tonight's MLB draft prospect, Devin Taylor, the outfielder from the University of Indiana, one of the best all-around offensive performers in the college crop. Taylor is a potential plus hitter in terms of both average and power, and controls the strike zone while he hits best in left field. Fits best left field. He does enough damage to profile as a regular there and batted .357. .449, 660 with 20 homers last spring. Now, these are numbers from last season, meaning 2024. He had a pretty good season for the IU this year. I think those numbers were pretty. I think he had 25 home runs this year. Devin really is not a first-round target. I don't think, not with the outfielders. There's a lot of good outfielders in this draft, a lot of good outfielder candidates in this draft. So I have Devin Taylor as maybe a top 10 in the second round at the best right now, projected. And, he'll be there. I don't think he makes it through the top part of the second round, but I definitely think he makes it into the second round of this year's draft. And there you have it. Tonight's tonight's MLB draft prospect player of the night, Devin Taylor, the outfielder from Indiana. So got to get through these, man. I got to get through these prospects. All right, let's get on to my favorite time of the night. All right. The MattyB card review segment is where we take one of my many sports cards and we just have some fun talking about it. And tonight we're back in 87 tops. I think we got out of there for like a night last week, but we're back. That's right. We're back 87 tops with a player who burst onto the scene in 86, was a fan favorite of a lot of kids back in the day. When you ran into this guy's baseball card back in 1987, you definitely put it away because you're like, you know what? This could be worth something someday. And I did, and it's not. But the player ended up sticking around for 20 very productive seasons in the MLB through, I believe, 2006 was when he retired, or actually in 07. And in 86, he was all the rage. And matter of fact, he broke a record in 1986, and was featured in one of the variants that 87 Tops featured, which was the 86 record breaker cards. That was one of their special insert cards of that year. And I speak of course, I mean, you guys probably already guessed who it is. And did I put it up? No, I did not even load it up, but it's all right. It's right here. I know where it's at. Let me get it real quick. Where is it? Oh, I don't have it. What I do with it? Where'd it go? Where'd it go? Let me take a look. If he's floating around somewhere. Oh, there he is. I knew I'd find him. I'm too good for that. I speak of course, Ruben Sierra. You guys remember that name? Texas Ranger fame. Spent probably the more productive years of his career, 86 through 92, in Texas with the Rangers. Really, I thought, I think a lot of kids thought that when he burst onto the scene in 86, he was going to be something, all that in a bag of chips, and he kept his cards, and I kept a bunch of his cards. Now, this particular card, as I mentioned, is the 86 record breaker insert that Topps did for a few players from the 86 season. This particular record that he broke in 86 he was the youngest player to ever hit a home run from both sides of the plate in a single game. He accomplished that feat in September of 86 against the Minnesota Twins, and he was only 20 years old at the time. So that was the record he broke or set, whatever, in MLB that year. And it was good enough to get him this record breaker card. Now, the iconic Topps 87 wood grain paneling borders with that, very iconic, the best, the most recognizable card brand or card year ever because of that, of the wood grain paneling. A smart looking card, man. I think it's a good card. It's a very colorful card. It's, very well done. Of course, every card in 87 Topps was. This card is absolutely worthless. And in any database, $3 I think was the best I could find as a PSA 10. I know if you had a PSA 10 auto, it's about $50, but I don't have a PSA 10 auto. So this card in raw form, it's about a $3 card, and really is probably only interesting to people that are hardcore baseball fans that remember Ruben Sierra, who, as I mentioned, 20-year career, finished with a 268 career batting average, over 2,100 hits, 306 home runs, and over 1,300 RBIs. Played for the Rangers, the A's, the Yankees, the Tigers, the Reds, Toronto, Chicago White Sox, back to the Rangers, Mariners, back to the Rangers, Yankees, and the Twins, and then actually was invited by the Mets to their 07 spring training, and he was decided that the Mets cut him or DFA'd him, designated him, and he requested his release, got his release, and then he retired. So Ruben Sierra, your card of the night, your card review of the night. And let me bring up the card here so you guys can see that I don't lie. I always show cards that I have. And here it is in its physical form. Again, it's a very good variant of it. Very good condition card. Probably this card would fetch about a PSA 9, I think. Real sharp corners. Cutting's really good on this card. Centering's very good. The picture might, I don't know if I don't think it's faded. I think it's just the way the picture was. But there you go. There's my Ruben Sierra 86 record breaker card from the 87 Topps set. So there you are. MattyB's card review of the night, Mr. Ruben Sierra of the Texas Rangers and about 11 other teams that he played for in his career. Can I do a Flyers lineup? Oh, yeah. When we get closer to the Flyers season, I will. I bet yours and your son's card collection is better than Ben Davis. I doubt it. I mean, Ben Davis has got something I don't have, which is money. So, like people like that, Ben Davis, Matt Strom is a huge card collector. When you're making millions of dollars a year in your job, you can go out and invest a lot of that money in your hobby. And, I'd love to take a peek at Matt Strom's collection. Woo-hoo. I love to take a peek at Ben Davis's collection too, but it's all fun. Well, I didn't realize Sierra came up in '86. Yeah, his first year was in '86. Then last year was in '06. So he played 20 seasons in baseball. I didn't realize that either. I didn't know Bobby Valentine managed the Rangers at one time. Yes, he did. Yeah, absolutely did. Yep. Matter of fact, that was his claim to fame, Joe. That's where I remember him managing, was the Rangers. I know the Mets and then the Red Sox and all that, but the Rangers was where I remember him. Matter of fact, I have his manager's card that we'll probably talk about eventually as well. But that is going to bring me to the end of the program tonight. Over an hour, almost hour 20. Remember, here on the It's a Wrap Sports Network, we got a lot of programming to keep you interested. Every Friday night at 10:30, you got the Wrap Around with Pat Bernard, starting here in the very near future, because football is almost upon us. The Birds Blast with Kyle Quinn, the quintessential in Eagle pregame show entertainment, will be making its return for a 6th season here on It's a Wrap Sports. And then every Sunday morning at 9, the PNM and the AM program, and every Thursday at 9, you got the Attacking Third. And then, of course, the flagship show, me, every Sunday through Thursday at 10 p.m. or after the Fightins Final, whichever comes first. We also do have an Eagles postgame show, the Birds Flyby, that we premiered last season, and we'll continue rolling it through next year as well. But still looking for a host, by the way. There's going to be a Hunger Games type event between the It's a Wrap sports hosts to get that gig. My money's on Steve. Steve's the only one with soldier training, so I'm going to put my money on Steve. But we're going to name a new host here soon of the Birds Flyby, and then we got a couple other more programs. I know we got at least 2 more. So we got the Birds Blast, the Birds Flyby coming this fall. We got 2 other shows coming from Mike Lauro. He's going to be doing a sports betting for entertainment purposes only type show, as well as a Penn State football post-game show. That's going to be interesting. And then we might be having some other news, some other shows coming soon as well. So maybe looking at expanding the network by about 5 shows over the next 3 or 4 months. So we're growing, and please help us out and do your part by liking and sharing and subscribing and all those great things that you can do to help me. I appreciate it. Here on the It's a Wrap Sports Network. Night, Barbara. I will see you next time as well. Thank you, Joe Hale. Can you do an Eagles lineup? We can do that when we get closer to the football season, sir. Ricky, we'll probably go position by position at some point and talk about the Eagles, but that will have to wait, because right now we're in turmoil about the baseball team. One disaster after another, in a row here, there, Ricky. But thanks a lot, everybody, for joining me. And tomorrow I'll be back after the Fightins Final, as Pat Bernard will have you for that. And then I will be coming on right after that. So make sure you're tuned in to the It's a Wrap Sports Network for all your great Philadelphia sports coverage and more as we continue to break ground. And then Phillies, I really don't know. I think we're reaching a pivotal point here with this team. And it's going to be interesting to see where they go. So I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Until then, have a great night and have a great rest of your day tomorrow, and an even better day tomorrow, as I messed that up. I'll see you guys later.